Evening. Today is Tuesday, April 8th, and the time is 6:30 p.m., and I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Can I have a roll call, please?
Webb.
Present.
Stiegel.
Here.
Onken.
Here?
Caliphate.
Here.
Hauk. Serrato.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We do have a quorum. Item number 2, approval of minutes. Consider approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission March 25th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from March 25th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Serrato and a second from Commissioner Webb. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Item number 3, citizen comment period with the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission welcomes comments from citizens early in the agenda of regular meetings. Speakers are provided with an opportunity to speak during this time period on any agenda item or any other matter concerning city business, and they must observe the 3-minute time limit. So I will go ahead and open that now. Okay, moving on. Consent agenda. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 items on the consent agenda today. Do we have a motion to approve those?
I make a motion to approve the items 2, 3, and 4 and 5 on the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to approve items 2, 3, 4, and 5 from Commissioner Serrato and seconded by Commissioner Webb. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that also passes, which takes us to consider impossible action. Consider approval of a preliminary plan for approximately 762.3 acres out of William Hemphill Survey, abstract number 221, and Albert Pace Survey, abstract number 367, establishing the Pecan Woods subdivision located at the northeast intersection of Heidenreich Lane and East RR 150, SUB-24-0337. Mr. Lutz.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you tonight. We have a preliminary plan for you. This is going to be known as Pecan Woods preliminary plan. I just kind of want to go through a couple of items here regarding the plat. So this project is part of a larger development agreement. You can see that dark outline there is the entire Pecan Woods subdivision. So they do have a preliminary plan in for that entire area. However, this applicant is only going to be looking at developing phases 1A through 1G. So those are be the ones that they'll take down and come back, and you'll see a final plat on those, preferably sooner than later. But the property is, again, as I mentioned, regulated via development agreement. Most of it is in the ETJ. You will see a small strip along the frontage of the property that is in the city limits, which was used to further some annexations down the way. So this is the preliminary layout. You can see the dark kind of gray areas are the future phases that will be retained by the current owner, which is the Walton Trust. And then all the lots with the phases will be what D.R. Horton is looking at taking down. Those are phases 1, 2, and 3. Again, they'll be looking at 1A through 1G to be doing first. Couple overall land uses. So there are some municipal uses. I do want to correct this. It's not 5.2 acres. It's actually 2 acres. They're looking at donating 1 acre site for police and 1 acre site for fire. That's part of the development agreement. They're looking at about 15 acres in commercial. They have an additional 24 acres that's our mixed-use commercial / multifamily. They have dedicated 12.4 acres to the school. That's the minimum size that the school would need to operate a facility, and they do need a facility in that area. They are looking at 13.2 acres of straight multifamily and then 488 acres of single-family residential. The lots breakdown, this DA has a maximum unit count. So right now, this is what we're showing you is the maximum. As they go in and fine tune their plans, some of those numbers may drop off, but this is the maximum that they're allowed to build. So it's broken down by phases, so you can kind of see how many units in each phase. So 108, 87, they're averaging about 100 until you get to phase 2, then we're at 200, and phase 3 at 250. Again, Walton Tracts will be developed in the future either by this applicant if they choose to move forward, or by another applicant or the Waltons. Typical easements are provided, 15 MUEs next to right-of-way, 5 on side and 10 on rear. There will be maybe additional easements that are done separate instrument, or at later phases. There are sections of the Vibe Trail that will be constructed as part of this development. Those will need to be placed in easements, so most likely at the final plat stage of each of those corresponding phases. Parkland dedication is 186 acres. This is per the DA. It's a combination of dedication and fees, but fees will be paid at final plat, so you won't see any of that discussed here tonight. This is just the kind of preliminary layout. There is a tree mitigation fee. It's roughly $125,000. That's based on removal of trees that they've identified as protected. That is part of the DA. That may tweak a little bit as we go through and fine tune the plan as well. This is county line water, but it is City of Kyle sewer. They were building an extension to our plant across their property, and then PEC is the electric provider. So tonight you have 3 options: approve as requested, approve with conditions, and deny the request. Staff is recommending option 2 tonight. We approve with the condition, and that condition that Hays County approve the plan, provide the city the required interlocal agreement, 1445 letter. So they are having this plan reviewed through Hays County now. I'm not sure the status as of this meeting, but they were not final. So as long as there's nothing that will substantively change any of those comments, change this plat, we'll move forward like it's being approved today. Now, if something happens with the county that they require changes that will alter this plan significantly, we will bring that back and have you reconsider it and show you what the difference is. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you have at this time.
I have a question about, when was this development agreement
I
enacted?
think there was a couple amendments to this. I want to say 2016, 2017 timeframe, yes, sir. So almost a decade old.
Any other questions for staff?
Yeah. What is Hays County? What do they need to approve on this?
So as far as, so this property is in our ETJ, that's our extraterritorial jurisdiction. The state has given cities and counties the ability to review plats in their jurisdiction. Generally, when a plat is inside a city's ETJ, both parties will review that because most likely that development may be contemplated as being incorporated into the city, so it ensures that we're getting developments that are built to our standards. Since this is in the ETJ, they do the dual review process. It goes through both Commissioners Court for approval, same as similar to this board. So once we get that letter that they're approving that, then we can record the plat.
You may not be aware of this, certainly, but the school district, are they clear about this dedication and this development?
Yes, sir. We have weekly meetings with the school district. They've got several projects going on with their bonds, so we've been having regular meetings with them, coordinating on this development, discussing location and acreage. So they're well aware of the location and the size, and they have signed off on this layout as well.
Yeah, as a citizen, not just a commissioner, I would observe that elementary school is pretty much captured within the development. And if that's making the assumption that it serves only the development, and I would just encourage the school system to look at that and perhaps place that on the outer perimeter of the property. Like I say, that's a comment as much as a citizen as anything else.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
I have 2, mostly single-family residentials, what the residential piece of this looks like. What does the landscaping look like? I mean, is this going to be, or has there been any consideration to that? I'm asking because I think about 6 months ago, City Council shared some data that over 80% of our water use, correct me if this statistic is wrong, I've been wrong before, it'll happen again, is single-family residential homes and very much related to landscaping. Has that been taken into consideration here?
I can't say what was taken into consideration when this was negotiated. So all of these happened in 2016. I didn't see anything special or odd about the landscaping requirements. I do know our current landscape code has some provisions for artificial grass in the rear and things like that. But this one is going to be they're utilizing our old landscape code. I don't think it has those provisions. So my understanding is it's going to be kind of typical single-family residential development.
And please correct me if that statistic was wrong.
I can't
For
correct
sure.
on the number, but they are a high water user. I mean, it's not just the landscaping. You have families that are living there, cooking, showering, washing clothes, so.
We don't have
They
a
are big
representative
users.
from D.R. Horton here to speak to that, do
We do. I mean, I think maybe D.R. Horton could answer that
Yeah.
a little bit better. They are on County Line Water. They're on another water provider, but absolutely, they would always be eligible to use enhanced and landscaping standards that are more water wise as well. But D.R. Horton is here.
I mean, I think that answered my question. Yeah, if you have any more to add to that, feel free if you've given it any consideration or what you guys are thinking for it, but I think that answered my question.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. McCollum answered the question correctly. We are very early in the process. This is the first step before even our engineering plans are normally submitted to review. Horton's very savvy and aware of the water restrictions. Matter of fact, I have issues with Goforth right now. So County Line to date has been proactive in being ahead of their water uses. To the extent possible, we would certainly look at reducing that to alleviate some of the obligations from our home buyers in this community. That being said, we do have a pretty healthy amenity center space and some open space requirements under the development agreement. To date, we haven't identified those as encumbrances. But if we were to come forward and to reduce that because of ongoing water limitations, then that's certainly something we would work with Jason and Ms. McCollum to address.
I have you haven't worked it out then about turf requirements then for that development. Are you inclined towards 1% requirement of turf on a given lot? Many developers require, 50% sod, Bermuda sod.
We have seen challenges executing with the turf requirements, AstroTurf meaning. Now, natural vegetation, I can certainly speak to what we're doing in the, say, Prairie Lakes or certain areas. We try to incorporate as much of a zero-scape option as we can. Also recognizing we're 18 months to 2 years away from having our first house in this community. So there's quite a bit of runway to make those decisions before we can commit to things today.
Yeah, the concern is that many developers through the HOA persist in requirements of a very high percentage of turf, which is where most of the water tends to go in terms of irrigation. So we're all punching holes in the ground, but we're all getting the water and really from the same place. And you're familiar with that problem, but it's not going to get better in the next 1 to 2 years. Everybody's competing for the Carrizo Wilcox water, and we've all got our limitations. So I would just encourage you to, look at water-wise landscaping that incorporates native and natural plants or adapted plants. So if you would please, in the next 1 to 2 years, really take a close look at that.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve with conditions. The condition being that Hayes County approve the plan and provide the city with the required interlocal agreement 1445 letter. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Motion to approve with conditions made by myself and seconded by Commissioner Calafoot. Is there any discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 That passes. Or-
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yeah, okay, yes. I was like, I couldn't tell if I'd heard you out of the corner of my ear. I was like, I thought I did, but if you wanted to say no, I needed to let him say no. Okay. All right, and that takes us to our last item. The pickleball courts. So we've got consider approval of a conditional use permit for pickleball courts located at 400 East RR 150 in the I-35 overlay district. Sonic Pickleball Courts, CUP-24-0119. Ms. Sharp.
All right, Good evening, Kayla Sharp, Senior Planner. So tonight, this one's gonna be a little bit of a different CUP than what y'all are used to. Still I-35 overlay, but this one, as you'll notice as we go through this, there is no proposed building necessarily, but they are proposing some site improvements associated with the pickleball courts. And so that requires P&Z approval through the CUP process under the I-35 overlay. So this is located adjacent to the existing Sonic on East FM 150 or RR 150, whichever you want to call it. And it is owned by the same owners as the Sonic. So they're sharing access to this site through the Sonic parking lot and utilizing Sonic parking for these pickleball courts. So they are proposing 3 pickleball courts and some associated site improvements. They have a detention pond, some lighting, landscaping, things like that. Here's that landscape plan, mostly just kind of around the perimeter of the pickleball courts. This site is a little bit funky with some floodplain and drainage issues. So this kind of development and being adjacent to Sonic kind of makes sense. Go grab some Sonic drinks and go play some pickleball out in the Texas heat. But yeah, so here is the lighting plan. Again, pretty much limited to just the court area and no light trespass across property lines. And then your options tonight are approve as requested, approve with conditions or modifications, or deny the request. Staff is recommending option 1 as the proposed plans comply with the I-35 overlay and Chapter 53 zoning requirements. Any questions?
Just a quick question. And these are going to be open to the public?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I'm
Not
only
sh-
asking because there's a lot of clubs and whatnot opening up or requesting memberships, and I think it'd be great to have more public courts.
We're not sure if there's a price associated with using them or anything like that, but as far as we're aware, they would be public.
Other questions?
You mentioned that the.
I will say they're owned by Sonic, so they're not a city amenity. So
Yeah.
so absolutely, I would definitely talk to Sonic about how they're wanting to do that. And I think someone from Sonic's here. Maybe they could answer that, or are they here? Oh, that we could ask them to maybe, but they are courts owned by Sonic.
You mentioned that both lots were owned by Sonic, or the people that own Sonic, and that they're sharing access and parking. In the event that one of the lots was sold, whether it was the restaurant or the pickleball courts, how would that affect access and parking?
So ultimately, if one of the lots were to be sold, there would have to be some sort of shared access and shared parking agreement. We've been working with them on that throughout this process. At this point, they've indicated there's no plans to sell, but we have informed them that if they are ever to sell that lot, we will need some sort of formal cross-access and shared parking agreement.
Okay.
Were they adding any more parking spots? Or
No.
Just, okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I do have one for you. So on the image for this, it shows that the pickleball courts are going to be right kind of close to the parking spots. Is there some sort of barricade or anything there that'll keep, I don't know, clumsy feet accidentally stepping on a gas pedal when they're in the wrong gear from, just barreling onto a pickleball court and mowing down grandma?
I believe there is already an existing perimeter fence
Okay.
there. And I know these plans showed some fencing, but they showed a couple different fencing types. We're trying to get some clarification on what fence type is being proposed on this side of the property, but I believe there is an existing fence on the Sonic side of the property.
Okay, yeah, I think that's probably important, so. good.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we would need a motion to take action on this one.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Vice Chair Stiegel and a second from Commissioner Serrato. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Great, okay. And with that, I believe we've reached the end of our agenda. So we've covered everything that we're allowed to talk about on today's agenda, and there's no other business that may be discussed. So we are adjourned at 6:50.